speaking of I'm not sure. Speaking of asylums, even though you didn't mention asylums, um, next up
Nice.
is yeah, I know I'm the Segway master. Next up is the Arctic Expeditions from 2001. The plot's a bit difficult, but pretty much this guy is accused of murdering his girlfriend, and he is sentenced to a sort of I guess he goes into a coma. Then he's sentenced to like the psychiatrist thing, and he wakes up and he then gets sent to like a halfway house type thing, with a bunch of patients. But it turns out he's actually in an experiment being run by the doctor to find the whereabouts of some Satanist account book of a murder that may or may not have happened from somebody who may or may not be his girlfriend, and the patients may or may not be patients, and it's a fantastic time. It's a movie that I can imagine will come across as frustrating to some people, and I say that because I'm one of the people it comes across as frustrating too. A lot of the story isn't really made clear, even with multiple rewatches, and it just comes across as a bit of a bizarre movie. There's certainly some things in the movie that make you enjoy it a bit more, such as Seth Green. Seth Green cracks me up in this movie. But overall, I'm not sure it's like the best form of entertainment.
Yeah, I remember renting this out on DVD back in the early 2000s. And I think mainly because my wife is a pretty big Jeffrey Combs fan, and I mean, Seth Green's fine by me, so we gave it a watch then, and this is my first time watching it since then. And it's your typical direct-to-video horror movie from that era, I guess. Like, it feels like a lot of other movies I watched around that time. Certainly not special. I wouldn't say bad, but I just didn't really feel one way or the other about this movie. It's really not my thing, but shit happens.
Yeah, I think it had some interesting concepts. There was like a sort of a small thing in which this one character is claiming that the woman leading the psychiatrist group was someone sneaking in like Satanist readings via another patient's toys. And that was, just an interesting conspiracy theory type thing. And there's a lot of small things that are mildly interesting, but I don't know if they're necessarily connected together that well. Like, I feel we don't really know enough about Jeffrey Combs' character to really understand why he's doing any of what he's doing. Like, one of my favorite scenes is it's pretty early on in the movie where he's just talking to the guy who woke up from a coma, and he's just rolling a joint in his office. That is a hardcore psychiatrist. I would definitely go under that guy's therapy.
He's got a prescription, man.
Yeah, he seemed somewhat iffy as far as ethics are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, when I watch a movie like this, I start focusing on just stupid little things, like towards the beginning where he's showing the I forget the character's name, the main mental guy in the movie. When Jeffrey Combs is showing him around, and he's like, "This is the quiet room," and they're just non-stop talking. I'm like, it doesn't sound like a quiet room. And there's like the one female patient in there. I'm surprised she wasn't like, "Shut the fuck up." I look on IMDb and I see someone say basically the only reason to watch this movie is for Ted Raimi's performance. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what was special about his performance? Is it just because his last name is Raimi that you like him?
Yeah, so the interesting thing about Raimi is that I know I've seen him in a few other movies. He was in Wishmaster Minute Meat Train,
Yeah.
I think. But he's not like a big actor in any of those movies. Like, I recognize him, but it's not like his performance in this movie was like amazing.
I can't recall, but I assume he's like Sam Raimi's brother. Is he?
I actually don't know.
I can't recall, but I'm just assuming that because I don't remember. Yeah, the highlight of movie roles that I remember this guy in is getting squished in Wishmaster for like a 20-second scene. But anyways, I mean, even the name of his character, Dr. Coffee. I feel like whoever wrote this fucking movie was just drinking some coffee and was like, gotta name another fucking character. Just call him Coffee. Yeah, that's about how much I care about the plot to the movie. And
I sort of like it when he first comes in and they just start to lock him up like he's a patient. Like, I wouldn't say had a phobia of, but the way that some of these mental institutions are portrayed in movies legitimately terrifies me. Like, I hope there's no institution out there that's as bad as some of these are portrayed, and I know in history they have been, but I'm hoping we've come past that point, because some of this stuff, like, I hate seeing it. Like, other patient mistreatment. Like, oh god.
And the movie is advertised like they use Alice Cooper's name as a strong selling point. And I don't recall him being in more than maybe 10 seconds of the movie.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so if, you're going because, hey, it stars Alice Cooper, well...
I think he might have also had something to do with the soundtrack. I might be wrong about that, but he either helped choose the music or something. It doesn't matter because it doesn't impact the movie at all.
But I don't believe there was any actual Alice Cooper songs.
No, I don't believe so.
So, I think if you're an Alice Cooper fan, this isn't exactly, a movie that you need to be watching just because of his involvement. Because he pretty much has about as much involvement in the actual movie as I did. So, there you go. But hey, I guess if I have to look for one highlight...
And before the nudity.
Yeah, Faith, the redhead, I did appreciate that she managed to get the titties out, and I was wondering if the carpets matched the drapes, and at least there's that. So it wasn't all bad.
Yes, I've got nothing to say on that front. I will say I heard that the budget for this movie was pretty low, which you can obviously tell when watching.
It had a budget.
Well, yeah, so I will say, even though I'm not going to give this movie a particularly decent score...
I feel like, the actors just brought some things from home to use as props. Like, yeah. Seth Green, you just wear whatever clothes you wear at home, and, they don't even have wardrobes. It's just whatever.
I'll say I am impressed that with the budget they had, that they were able to make a movie almost competent. It just didn't come out as nearly as good as they were probably hoping. From my perspective, it's somewhat disjointed. I wish they would have clarified a few things. It's an interesting movie. It's just, much like yourself, it's not really my type of movie. When I watch a movie like this, I would like a bit more clarity by the ending, and that's not necessarily what we got here. So I'm going to give this movie a 5.5, and I think because of a few of the performances, including Jeffrey Combs, whose performance I didn't necessarily love, but I like seeing Jeffrey Combs. I think I'm going to give this a 5.5 and round it up to a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one a 5. I didn't have a terrible time with it, but I didn't enjoy it. But I did enjoy Faith. So, I always look for the positive in these types of movies, and that was the positive for me. It gave me a raging positive.
Okay.
Okay.